What's going on? My name is Peter Sarellas. I'm a videographer and editor from Toronto, Canada. I specialize in sports videography, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Saber plugin from Video CoPilot to create some awesome effects in your sports videos like the one that you just saw at the start of this video. I made a video back when I started this YouTube channel that broke down one basketball highlight that I edited in After Effects, and in that edit I used the Saber plugin. And since I made that video, I've been getting questions non-stop about how to specifically use the Saber plugin and people running into problems when trying to apply it to their videos. So this is going to be a detailed look at how I use the Saber plugin specifically, all the buttons I click, any problems you might run into, so that when you try to use this effect in your videos, you don't run into any issues and you can do it effectively. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. So I've got a clip already loaded up here. I'll just play through once so that we can all see it. And I want to use Saber on this part when the ball is slow-mo, and then he's gonna dunk the ball and Saber is gonna come off when this player makes the dunk. So let's put a marker where we want this effect to start, right on the whip. Let's start it right here on the first frame when the ball comes back into frame after the whip. So we'll start the effect there, and then we're going to end the effect on the dunk. So we'll end the effect there. And to add Saber, you need to make it on a solid layer. You can't actually make Saber on the video clip itself. So we're going to go Layer, New, Solid, or Command Y. And then we're gonna make a black solid. I've already got the color set to black, but if your color isn't set to black, then just click on this button right here and move it to whatever color you want. So we'll do a black solid, click OK. Now we have our black solid right here. Now we're going to add the Saber effect to this. So you just go to your effects and presets panel right here, or you can use the Video CoPilot FX console plugin by hitting Control and spacebar and write Saber, and that'll bring that up. Again, it's also right here. If you go Saber, it's right there. And that gives us the Saber effect, but just like a straight line right now. And a lot of the issues that people can run into sometimes is that they add the Saber effect and they wonder why it's just this bar, and they don't know how to make it like follow the ball or wrap around the object that they want to track. So for now, we're going to turn the Saber effect off, and we're going to create a mask around the ball during the parts where we want Saber to be applied so that the Saber effect can track onto that mask. So let's turn the black solid layer off for now, but keep it selected. And okay, this is where we want the Saber effect to start. We're going to select our video. We're going to come up here and grab the ellipse tool, and we're just going to draw a circle while holding shift to make sure that our circle stays as an even circle around the ball. So hold and drag out. There we go. Now we want to be able to see our entire clip while we are masking this ball. So let's change the mode on the mask from add to none, and now we can see our mask perfectly. I'm also going to change the color of this mask to something that's going to stand out, like a bright red. And now we can open our mask properties. We're going to click Mask Path to add a keyframe. This is going to allow After Effects to start remembering every single individual keyframe as we go forward. So click that. And now we're going to drag this mask to match the exact confines of the ball. We're going to make it so that it goes end to end and covers the entire thing. Remember that you're supposed to hold shift when you rescale this mask to keep the mask as a perfect circle. The ball might not always be a perfect circle because of rolling shutter or some other issues, so you may eventually need to just do stretches like this where you're not holding shift. Like a basketball is a perfect circle theoretically, so that's generally what your mask should look like. But anyways, we have our first frame of our mask here. This is pretty close to being perfectly around the ball, and it's going to be sufficient for our needs. So we're going to go forward one frame by going to the tracker panel and clicking this arrow right here with the little line, track forward one frame, and that's going to follow the ball. And then we're just gonna have to resize our mask. Unfortunately, this tracker is not going to perfectly stick around the ball. It's always gonna like kind of mess up a little bit and miss the edges. So you're gonna have to constantly do these like fine tuning adjustments, which is like not the end of the world, but it does take a little bit long. So I'm gonna show you a few adjustments for this, and then I'm just gonna skip forward and have the rest of the effect done. So you don't need to like sit here and just watch me do this really meticulous work. So we'll call that good, and then we're just gonna, this time I'm not even gonna bother tracking it. I'll just hold command on the right arrow and go forward a frame. And then I'll move the mask, and we'll resize it. And do the same thing again, move the mask, resize it. And you wanna do this for every single frame where you want the Saber effect applied from start to finish. It's a meticulous process, but by making sure your mask is tight around the ball, you will get the best results. So I'm gonna power through this, and then I will check back in with you when this whole masking thing is done. Alright, so I've now gone through and tracked every frame where I want Saber to be on and drawn a mask around the ball. As you can see here, the mask follows the ball throughout the shot. I started to animate every other frame when the ball was in slow motion and stayed in about the same place in the frame the entire time, because After Effects will recognize that you've only animated every other frame and split the difference of those two frames in the middle. So you can see here the mask moves throughout these frames even though I've animated every other one. And then I continue on, and eventually we get to here where the player grabs the ball, and then he goes behind the backboard and he dunks it. And then at this point where we want the mask to be off, we're just going to double click and move the mask right off. So now let's take our mask, we're going to copy it, we're going to go to our black solid and we're going to paste it. So that's Command C on the mask to copy, go to the black solid, click Command V, then you click, and that pastes it. Then if you click M on the black solid, you have your mask come up here and you have all the same keyframes. Now we can just turn this mask off. We'll just delete it off of this clip. Actually, you know what, let's keep a copy of it. Let's click Command D and duplicate the clip that we have. And we're just going to turn this one off. And we'll just call this clip with mask, just so we have a second copy of our mask. And then on this one, we'll click M to bring up the masks and we'll delete it. So now we have our clip. This one here, that's now peach, is not being used. We have our clip. And we have our solid, which is going to get the Saber effect. So let's turn the Saber effect back on. And you can see when we turn the Saber effect back on and we turn the layer on, it's still just a line. So to change this, you go customize core and you change your core type from Saber to layer masks. Now this Saber effect takes the shape of the mask, and you can see that as we move across, the Saber effect follows the mask. But it's still an all black background, which I don't want. So to get rid of this, we need to change the blending mode from normal to an additive blending mode. Something like add, lighten, screen, color dodge, classic color dodge. But the one I usually use most often to blend my shots together when I'm compositing stuff is linear dodge add. So we'll click linear dodge, and now we have the Saber effect in the shot. You can see here that I actually forgot to do what I did at the start, where I moved the Saber effect off the screen for this last keyframe. We have to do that for the first keyframe as well, so we'll just take this off the screen. And we can actually cut this down, so let's just set our start and end points here. And now we have the Saber effect following the ball pretty smoothly. Let's customize the core here to get one that's a little bit cooler than this. Maybe we can use the energy preset just as an example, and let's change the color to like a turquoise or something. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And like you can do all types of things with this. You can like make the glow spread really, really large and use it as like just a soft glow. So we can do like that. Let's make the core size, ooh, that's far too big. Let's make the core size a lot smaller. By the way, don't use my exact numbers. The numbers that you're going to use and the presets you're going to use are going to depend on your shot and like your style. So I'm just like tweaking stuff to my liking here, but just like kind of take them as an approximation. So now we have one Saber effect, and it's doing this kind of like soft, large, outer glow type of thing. And if we want to use another Saber effect on this clip, on the ball, to get a more intense glow, we actually have to do that in another layer. So let's call this black solid outer glow. And then we're going to duplicate it and call the one above it inner glow. And we'll turn outer glow off for a second and just focus on the layer that's inner glow. And for the inner glow layer, we're going to make it more intense like we had at the start. So we'll turn the glow spread way down. We will turn the bias down. And we'll make the core size, maybe not that big. Oop. This really takes a lot of tweaking. You got to kind of figure this out for yourself. But let's do that. So now we have an inner glow and an outer glow, which needs some work. So let's tweak the inner glow down a little bit more. Maybe like that. Bring the core size down a little. That's not bad. All right, so now if I take the mask off, you can see we have like this wider glow that kind of adds some aura and ambience to the whole shot in the area around the ball. And then we have this inner glow that's like very intensely on the ball. So it kind of adds two layers to this glow effect, kind of makes it blend into the scene more. I like doing this a lot, but it's important to note that when you do this, you need to have each Saber effect on a separate layer. Otherwise, it'll just recognize the one at the top and the Saber effects below it will not be recognized. All right, so now we've got our inner glow and our outer glow here, but you can see that the player's hand comes through the Saber effect and like crosses this hard line that it shouldn't really be crossing because the hand is in front of the ball. So what we want to do is actually mask around the Saber effect so that the hand doesn't cross through that hard line. So let's take both of our Saber effects. We're going to pre-compose them. You just hit Shift Command C to do that. And you're going to make sure you have move all attributes into the new composition, and you want to adjust the composition duration to be the time span of the selected layers. Now we just need to set this back to linear dodge add. So let's change it to linear dodge. And you can see we're back to where we were. So now we're going to put a marker where the player's hand first crosses into the ball, there. And we're going to put a marker where the Saber effect ends, there. And now I'm going to show you how to mask out the player's hand. In this case, because it's shot from behind the backboard, you also have to mask out behind the backboard, but I'm just going to mask out the player's hands right now to show you what that process would look like. We're going to draw a mask around the area, and it doesn't need to be the most exact, just kind of like around the area where the player's hands are, where it is covering the Saber effect. So let's draw this little mask here, and we're good. Click M to bring up your mask, click the invert button. Now you have everything but the mask selected, and we're going to open this mask up. We're going to feather it out, and you can see that once this mask is feathered, it kind of looks like the player's hand is crossing in front of the Saber effect. This is obviously very rough, but now if you turn this mask off to none, the player's hand just goes right through this ball, and if you turn it to add, you can see that the player's hand is now in front of the Saber effect, which is what we want. And now we just need to kind of track this mask through. So we would animate the mask path by clicking on the keyframes again. We go to the next frame, and then we're again going to double click on this mask. We're going to move it and adjust some of these points so that they kind of wrap around the hand nice and neatly. And again, this does not need to be the world's greatest mask. It just needs to be passable. When you actually think about how long this moment is going to be on the screen, it's on for like less than a second. So you just need to make it look believable. Now we'll bring this down a little bit. That's pretty good. Let's go to the next one. Just keep moving this along. Please, I beg of you, also take more time with this mask when you do it. This is rough for the tutorial, but your mask should probably be a little bit cleaner than this one. If you need to add more points, just click on the pen tool here and make sure you have the mask selected, and then you can add more points. Go to the next frame. That's rough, but it works. While we're here, we may as well at least make a small attempt at masking out some of the backboard, just like that. That's not bad. Then we'll keep going. Again, I'm not doing the world's greatest job with the backboard. We're just kind of getting it done for this specific tutorial. And last frame here, we just got to fix this one up and we should be good. All right, so now like we did with the mask for the ball, we need to take this mask that we've used to kind of eliminate the glow of the saber from the player's hand in the backboard and move it off on the first and the last frames. So we will come one frame forward and the mask is gone. But if we go back to the first frame, you can see that even though the mask starts here, if you go one frame back beyond that, the mask is still kind of there. So we're going to double click on it. We'll just drag it off. And now the mask will stay on the side and out of our way until we actually need it. And with all of this work done, this is our final effect. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that after seeing it, you now have a better idea of how to use the Saber effect effectively in your basketball and sports video edits. If you like this video, then please make sure to subscribe to my channel because I post videography and video editing tips and tutorial videos similar to this one on a regular basis, and I would love to have you around for those. And if you have any questions about this tutorial or you need further explanation, then please drop a comment. I would love to get back to you down there. Anyways, that's going to be all for this episode, so until next time, peace. Episodes. Do we have episodes now? Are we calling them episodes? That's going to be all for this. Anyways, that's going to be all for this one. So until next time, peace. Maybe I use the episode one. I don't know. Anyways, that's that.